Hello my sweets, welcome to today's tutorial. It's been a really long time and I'm super excited about doing another traditional art video with you guys. So, let's get started. Today we're going to be doing a how to draw chibi video. Haven't done one of those in a long time, so I figured, why not? 3 poses as usual. We're going to have a pretty sassy pose, a more nervous, kind of typical anime sort of pose, and then, finally, I realized I don't believe I have taught you sweets how to do a chibi in side view, so that is something that I'm going to teach you how to do today. And don't worry, it's not going to be flat and boring. I'm going to show you how to put a bit of life into the angle that in drawing tends to turn out the flattest. So, let's get started. Okay, so what we'll start with is just a line, a straight line, up and down, or as large as you want your chibi to be. Alright, and I like to put a little bracket at the start and end of this to emphasize the top and bottom. And then if you've done chibis here before, you know the drill. We start with a large circle at the top of this line. And you want to make it the size so that there will be 3 circles, so each circle should be about a third of the line. Let's do one more, and one more, kind of like a snowman. Awesome. Alright, now that we have that, I'm just going to simplify the shape a little bit by going from the top here and just turn this middle circle into a triangle. And then from the sides of the triangle, we'll just bring down straight lines and complete it with a straight line at the bottom. So now we have the head, and we have basic guidelines to show how it slopes from the neck to shoulders to waist, down to the legs, and the feet at the bottom. Now, even though we have this line in the center here, this is actually going to be a 3/4 view or a 45-degree angle, and he's going to be facing in this direction. So let's go ahead and put in features in here to show that he is looking in that direction. Now, the best way to do this is to imagine this top circle as a beach ball. So we know where the center line is, the center point rather, up here and down here. We already have this marked off, so let's follow the curve of this circle here, like a beach ball, and start drawing in these sorts of stripes. And this shows you how the object is 3D. And once we have a good visualization of the circle as a 3D sphere, we can put in the actual eyes. Now let's go halfway through this circle. And that's a straight line, but if it's a beach ball, if it's a sphere, it has to be curved. So let's just curve this line real quick. There we go. It's getting a little bit confusing, so what I'm going to do is erase all of those little beach ball guidelines that I put in for you. Those are mostly for visualization. If you want to get more used to drawing circles as spheres, it's great to just take some scrap paper and a pencil and start doodling that whole beach ball sort of shape. The part of the face that is furthest from us, we're going to have this eye section be fairly small, and it just barely gets larger when it comes to the left side of the page. And now, the middle is not right here. It should be a little bit closer to the right of the page. Let's go back with those beach ball lines and put in our center point. Perfect. I'm going to darken the outline of the circle for us real quick. There we go. Show us what we want to keep. And now we have the basic shape of the face. Perfect. We're not going to put eyes in yet. Let's move on to the basic shape of the torso, main body, and legs. Now, Chibi's body is heavily based on a child's body structure. A very large head, a short neck, very small shoulders, and a sort of chubby middle body. So keep that in mind when you're drawing Chibis. So now we have this triangle, which shows us where the middle of the body is. Right here. Triangle, sort of a rectangular square situation going on here. And since we are facing this direction at a 3/4 angle again, let's take this center line and push it just slightly to our right. Now we know where to place the neck and shoulders. Keeping it very, very small, let's go to this side of the triangle where it meets the circle, and then the other side. And then just do some really small lines to connect it to our triangle sketch. Now this Chibi is going to have one hand on his hip, and the other hand pointing at something, probably making fun of it, since he's being sassy. So let's draw some quick guidelines for that. If you've ever drawn stick figures, it's just like that. We take the elbow, we take the upper arm out, elbow out here, bring it down, and let's just draw a circle for where his hand is going to be. We'll do the same here. For an interesting pose, his arm is not going to be just straight. We're actually going to do a sort of curved line. Upper arm, elbow here, slightly up with the forearm, and circle for a hand. Alright, now let's play around with this line real quick. The body is not square. He's not a little cube, but it's also not a perfect sphere. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this up into 2 pieces. We're going to leave this center line for the legs, because legs are more straight, but for the torso, we're going to go to the neck, and just draw from there, curving out, just barely touching this line. I'm going to erase it real quick so that you can see the new line we have. And this is how the spine arches, which means that the body is going to jut out from the front and curve in from the back. So let's do that. We have in, out, out, in. These will be cleaned up later. Just do some really sketchy straight lines that connect in the middle. Alright. Now the hand is on the waist. We're just going to take this down and show where the legs attach. Just like a triangle angling down. And that's perfect. Now for the legs. Let's make this pose look even more interesting. Since he's puffing his chest out and the action line is pointed in this direction, let's have the action line of his legs pointed in the other direction. So instead of drawing a curve like this, start up at the corner or the hips here and draw a curve in the opposite direction that connects to the bottom of the square. Do the same on the other side. Alright, and then, depending on how thick or thin you want the legs, put a matching curved line attached to this bottom of the body here, and again connecting to the line at the bottom of the square. Do the same for the other leg. Alright, that's it. Now, it's time for the fun part. We're going to refine this. We're going to add the final details before we erase all of the sketch parts and start darkening our lines. Let's do it. First of all, let's take a look at the head. So we have the eyes. It's like a visor wrapped around his head. We know where the eyes are going to go. And from there, we also know where the cheek is going to go. The cheek is going to go just below where the eyes are marked out here. So just draw a slight curve, just softly coming out of there and coming back down to meet the bottom of the face. Now we can erase all guidelines, making up the bottom of the face. Clean that up good. Alright, on the other side, we can also indicate where, not exactly the cheek, but where the jaw meets there. And where the jaw meets the back of the skull is also where we put the ear. So just draw an oval in there. We'll give that some more detail later. Alright, I'm going to erase a little bit of this guideline since obviously the eyes won't be back here. And then for the eyes themselves, you can go with your own style, but personally what I like to do is work with squares. So let's just draw this long square, or I suppose rectangle here, and a thinner one further back. You can see that the bottom of this eye is lower than the bottom of this eye. We're following this curve very carefully. For the top of the eye, I'm just going to do a line that slants slightly down toward the ear, like this. The same on the other side. Let's hook it off. Hook this one off as well, and erase all of the guidelines for the face. Alright, perfect. That's the eyes. We want him to have a sassy expression, so one eyebrow will be raised, and one eyebrow will be lowered. He'll also have a little bit of a sarcastic smile. Like, he can't believe something that someone has just said. Alright. Final detail on the head is the ear, which I promised we would get back to. And basically, you'll just erase anything that goes into the face down here. And in the middle, just draw a C. A backwards C in there. Perfect. Now, on to the arms. We've left the arms as these little stick things, so let's put them together. We're going to do a little trick here that'll make him look even sassier. We're going to raise his shoulders. To do that, I'm just going to erase where the shoulders would be. I'm not touching the neck or this slight downwards line that's coming off of the neck. Right up against this line, we're going to do just a couple of curved lines, like he's shrugging up towards his chin. From those curved lines, we'll just quickly draw in our upper arms. And then, this forearm is actually in front of this upper arm. So to show that, we're going to have this line extend further up into the upper arm. On this side, the arm is extended pretty much all the way, so no one part is necessarily in front of each other, so there will be no overlapping lines at the elbow. Erase some more guidelines. Make room to draw the hands. Thankfully with Chibi's, hands are a lot easier to get through. For this hand, we're just going to draw a square on an angle. There we go. And on this inner corner, draw another square hidden behind it. This is the thumb. Draw two lines from the bottom of the first square. Now you have fingers. Now we've got a guy with a hand on his hip. For the hand that he is pointing out at whatever he is possibly making fun of, we're going to first draw a square again. Alright, from this square we'll draw the pinky finger pointing. You can do it straight out, but I'm going to do it slightly down, just so that we follow the curve of the arm in an interesting pattern. A nice little wave. The thumb goes in the middle of this square, and that's like a U sort of shape. Finish the pointing finger, and then keep drawing down from there to be the rest of the fingers in the fist. I'll also show you both of these hand poses in a close-up right here. So how about the hands? Hands are always hard, so a way that I like to make it easier is to get a different sheet of paper and draw the hand poses that I'm trying to do much bigger than they would appear on the drawing that I'm working on. So let's start with the Chibi's hand on his hip. We'll just draw a quick little forearm here. And I like to draw hands made out of sort of square shapes. So since it's at an angle, his hand will also be at an angle. So let's draw a square with this angle attached to the forearm. Alright, so his hand is sort of curved, almost in a fist, resting on his hip, while his thumb wraps around over here. So let's draw in some lines to show where the fingers are. It's a chibi, so we're going to just have 3 fingers, just 2 lines. And then the thumb starts in the middle of the hand, right here, wraps around the outside to just barely touch the bottom. And that's the basic shape for our hand. We can start refining it now. You can add slight bumps to the top over every finger, coming down at the finger breaks here to indicate knuckles. Or you could just draw this whole top smooth for a more simplified look. I'm just going to do the same to the bottom here, fingers jutting out just slightly. And this is a basic fist. You can also draw this with the forearm in different positions, so it looks like they're punching someone, or maybe they're punching their fist in the air in victory, whatever you want to use it for. And that's it, a basic little hand. Now let's do the hand that's pointing. Again, I'm just going to sketch a quick forearm for us to work from. And now, we need to remember what side of the hand we are drawing. We're drawing the palm of his left hand? Yeah, his left hand. So, again, we're just going to draw a square. Except this time, it's not facing knuckles towards us, it's facing the heel of his hand, the palm, all of that, so we're going to divide that in half real quick. And this half down here, this is part of your hand, where the thumb folds over. So this shows us where the thumb goes, right in the middle there. Then he's pointing one finger, we're just going to extend that off of the square. The other fingers are wrapped against his palm, so we're just going to draw one line in the middle of their 1, 2, 3 fingers. Let's define those fingers just a little bit. And as you can see, I've cut off the fingers just a hair from the edge of this square. And that's because the heel of the hand is going to curve out just a little bit right here. And on this side, we're just going to slope it out towards the thumb. Let's round that thumb a little, round the pointer finger as well. And there you go. The hand poses for this first chibi are ready for you to practice and recreate on a smaller scale using these steps. Alright, arms are done. Let's start refining his body. Now, the body here is pretty wide, and I want him to have a taller, slightly more streamlined look. So we're going to sort of carve inward at this body shape. There we go. That means we can now erase this center line. Alright, he's really coming together. Finally, the legs. Now, this is just a sketch, a guideline. As you can see, putting the legs exactly like this would not look quite right, so what we're going to do first is we're going to equalize the crotch area. So let's draw a line where that would be, and using this line, we'll just carve out where his legs will go. It should look like one of those swimsuit sort of deals. Giving space between the legs allows us to do more realistic posing. Let's define these legs a little bit. We'll follow the curves here. The front of the thighs should be relatively straight. The back curves in. We hit the knee midway through here, and at the knee we curve out again for the calf muscle. Let's do the same on this side. Curve in the knee, out for the calf muscle, and back down. You can just have flat feet like this. You can have much larger feet, or you can have something in between. It's up to you. My favorite have to be these flat feet. They're very cute, and they work with a lot of styles. As long as you're not trying to draw a character with a lot of crucial detail on their boots, the style of foot is very easy and works quite well. Alright, there we go. Here's your first chibi. Let's finish up these eyes real quick. Big circle for the highlights, then we'll just darken around that. And stick in these lashes a bit too, and the eyebrows as well. Drawing a character like this, one good way to help yourself learn even more from what you've drawn is to find the action line. So in this action line is somewhere about a slight forward tilt of the head, down to the neck, forward angle of the chest, down to the legs, to inward angle of the legs, down to the feet, which would look something like this. Action lines that have long, curved shapes tend to make your character look more alive, which is always fun if you wanted to have a nice leveled up look to it. Alright, let's move on to chibi number 2. Alright, on to the second pose. This one is going to be facing straight ahead, so it's a little bit easier than the first one. And again, we're going to start with a line with our brackets to show how large we want our finished chibi to be. And the 3 circles. And let's do the triangle again. From the bottom of this circle up here, down to the bottom of this circle. Have a straight line. And then from these corners, straight lines down on the line at the bottom. There we have our basic base. Let's keep it moving by drawing the guidelines for the face. We're going to put the line where we split it in half, but instead of in half, we're going to bring it down a little bit closer to the bottom of the circle. This is because this chibi is going to be looking down a bit nervously. So here we go. So now we know that this is the middle point of the face. And since we know that this circle is actually a sphere, we're going to curve this line ever so slightly. There we go. Let's put another line of the same shape above this first one. However large you want the eyes to be, put your curved line where the top of your eyes would fall. Perfect. I'm going to outline the circle a bit more real quick so that it's easier to see. Now, when a chibi face is pointed directly at us, we fill out the cheeks on both sides as opposed to the 3/4 view or 45-degree angle where the cheeks are only visible on one side. So again, where the bottom eye line is, I'm just going to very slightly round it out and bring that back into the chin. Let's do the same on the other side. And then we'll erase all in there. There we go. There's the head. Alright, this chibi is really nervous, compact, hunched in, so we're barely going to see any neck as their head hunches slightly over their body. So instead of drawing a neck, what we're going to do is we're just going to draw shoulders. And similarly to the sassy pose that we just drew, both shoulders will be up in this pose. Now we have shoulders. Let's come down from those. And now it's time to work on the body. So this one is pretty simple. It's just going to be some lines going in and out again. So starting from the top, we know that the Chibi usually has a smaller chest compared to the Chibi's waist. So we'll go sort of like this. We'll come out just a little bit for the hips. Square that off. And now we have a body. All we have to do now is draw the triangle down to the center line here to show us where the center point is and where the legs will go. And for the legs, they will be that classic anime knees knocking together shy nervous pose. So they're also going to have a shape similar to this, where we go in and then out, and in and then out. This midway point is where the knees are, and the feet will be down here. Now for the arms, so she's going to be almost clasping her hands together in front of her chest in this pose. So we want the arms to come out from the shoulders. And then back in over the chest. And these lines here sort of helps show you how long the arm should be. When we move the elbow from here to here, we also want to be mindful of how long the forearm is. We don't want it to look too long here. So it's going to meet in the middle. And it's not arms that's... Oh, come here, you. And it's not arms that are meeting in the middle. That would be far too long. It is hands. So I'll just indicate that with a couple of boxes here. The forearms, again, are in front of the upper arms. We'll just go from these boxes. And we want the wrist here to be thinner than this point. So starting here, just slightly angle your line up. At the bottom, slightly angle your line down. Don't forget to round the elbow. Chibis are quite soft. And do the same to the other side. Round it off. Alright, perfect. Now let's clean up the legs. So we know this is the basic shape, but we also know it's a bit angular for the overall style we have going on right now. So let's soften it. We'll start up here. Like the last one, we're going to have a gap in the middle so that it's more realistic with the leg placement. And then just curve this up, which is an optional step, but it does show you how the thighs attach to the body, and depending on the kind of outfit your chibi will end up in, these guidelines, this swimsuit-like outline is very useful. So now we know to come down from there. We'll just make a very soft line here. Same on the inner thigh. Other one comes in, outer thigh. Erase lines you don't want. Now we come to the knees. And the calf muscle sticks out very prominently as we curve back in. And now the shin is usually quite straight, so let's keep that mostly straight and end down here with the feet. Alright, now it's time for the eyes. The best way to draw eyes to make them look worried is to have them slant down like this. Angry eyes slant the other way, sad and worried eyes slant this way. I'm sorry, my cat keeps running all over the drawing. So let's just draw these lines so that we know what shape we want the eyes to be. And I just do a quick little curve. Just did a little upside down U shape that I thicken out, attaching to that slanted line. And then we're going to draw circles for the eyes, and these should not touch the upper lashes. This is what's going to give them that very worried look, that gap between the iris and the top lashes. And then the bottom lashes. Now we can erase these guidelines. Finally, the eyebrows, which curve up in concern. For the mouth, draw a very shallow U. It looks like a smile when you start out, but then we're going to curve both edges back down so that she has a nervous, sort of pursed lip expression. Final step are the hands. So we're going to do I'm not sure what to call it. It's where the fingers go together, sort of like this. I'm sure you've seen the emojis for it. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to round off these squares, and at the top is where the pointer fingers will touch together. So just draw that in the squares. And then from down there, from there, draw down and leave a gap between the two hands. And these are the rest of the fist. If you want, you can even put the thumbs in there, right up here, like that. Can't forget the ears. Depending on the hairstyle with the front view, the ears might be totally obscured because at this angle they're quite small. And there you have it. Chibi number 2, the nervous one, is all done. Let's move on to Chibi number 3, the profile view. Alright, now for the third and final Chibi, the profile view. Let's do our straight line down the middle, our brackets, and our 3 circles. Alright, when you draw a chibi, or in general, when you draw someone from the side, you want the arch of the back to be really prominent. So we're going to cut the circle here in half, and that'll show us how the back arches. This will be the point where it arches inward the most. We'll do a much sharper angle of a triangle on only one side, and then down from there, down from the other side, and a straight line at the bottom. Let's cut this circle in half. I'm going to put the line slightly at an angle so that it looks like the chibi is looking down, and this time extend your guideline just slightly beyond the top circle. Alright, let's start working out this shape. What I want to do first is the head. We're just going to darken this circle a little bit first, so that we can all see what we're working with. Perfect. Alright, we have this line, and this, again, is where the eyes will be. So, let's choose where we want the bottom of the eyes to go. I would say close to here. And where the bottom of the eyes are, we know that's where the cheek rounds out. And in a side view, it's not exactly a cheek. It's actually going to be what little nose Chibi has, so just round that out a little bit. And since the head is tilted, we're going to pull the jawline up just slightly as it joins with the back of the head. Now we can erase some guidelines around that. Leave guidelines to show you where the eyes go, which would be just this square right here. Now, the ear does not go on the edge of the head this time. This time it's going to be on the inside. And basically, you want it to be about half an eye's length away from the center of the head. And again, we'll do that little C shape. Now, let's add detail to the eyes. I'm going to do just a hook for the lashes, the iris, And we'll add some more lashes to the front here, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a small trick to make this look 3D. We're going to add lashes to the other side. And then we have the eyebrows up here. Tilt them back just slightly for a soft look. Now we can erase the eye guidelines. Alright, in the middle is where the neck will be, so let's do that now. From there, we'll follow this triangle guideline as the body curves slightly outwards. And then we'll do the back, and like I said, the back tends to curve in, so we'll just start to come out, have a corner, sort of where the shoulders are, although chibis tend to not have very pronounced shoulders. Go in, and then back out. Alright, now just connect the back side here to the front of the body. Now we need to sketch out where we want the arms and legs to be. I'm going to draw one arm swinging back this way, and the other arm, mostly obscured by the body, going this way. The legs will be pretty much just standing still, straight up and down. Alright, for the arms, the elbows usually are around the waist here, so let's just draw little circles to show where that is. And then, let's do some cylinders for the arms themselves. Erase the guidelines, and do the other arm. Now we just have to indicate where the hands will go. We'll do that detail shortly. First, let's put in the legs. To start, we're going to carve out this shape the way we did with all the other bodies into something closer to a swimsuit configuration, with the curve going up where the thigh is attached. From there, halfway down, we know that there are knees, so mark those, because at the knee, this line that's curving out, the thigh, it curves towards the knee, hits the knee, and begins to curve outward again with the calf muscle. Draw that down to where you want the feet to be. And then, kind of mimic that on the other side. Keep the lines a little bit straighter than you have on the back of the legs. And we'll do the same on the other side, but we're actually going to bend her knee just slightly so that the pose looks more dramatic in 3D. So we curve down, then we curve in, and we can just barely see her foot behind the other leg. And there we go, let's erase these guidelines. Alright, now for the hands. I'm going to clean this up just slightly so that I can show you the shapes that the hands are made of. Essentially, the hand is a square. Here is where the thumb will go, and that is in one direction. We'll generally have the pinky finger also going in its own direction, and then all the rest of the fingers back here are stuck together. And on this side, it's still a square, but this time we can see the back side of the thumb and the heel of the hand. From there, we do the same principle with the pointer finger, and then the rest of the fingers pointing off in a different direction. The key is we want to have the heel of the hand curve, and then come into the wrist here. Same on this side. The wrist narrows, and then curves out with the heel of the hand into the thumb. Alright, and that's that. We've got Chibi in a side view. Alright, and that is going to be it for this tutorial. Thank you, sweets, so much for watching. I hope I was able to teach you something.
videos a little bit longer because I'm not that confident about teaching. It's been a while, but we'll get back into the swing of things. Hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you have anything you want me to hear. With that, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!